Hey there guys, I'm SonicGhost and welcome to another bonus episode of Let's Play Star Fox 64. Today we're going to be taking a look at Star Fox 64 3D, the 3DS remake of Star Fox 64 that was released in 2011. This remake brings a couple new things to the table. Obviously the big one here is a graphical overhaul of the game, but we also have motion controls. You can actually control Star Fox 64 3D using gyro controls here on the 3DS, and that's just one of many new features here in this version of the game. But we're going to go ahead and take a look at all the differences here. Starting off here on the main menu, we can already see a different mode here that wasn't in the N64 version, Score Attack. We're going to be taking a look at that mode here in a minute, but first, let's just go ahead and jump into the main game. For starters, we can go ahead and select a new game here, or we can select a guest game. So you can use guest game here to give this copy of Star Fox 64 3D to your friend to play for a while, and they won't override your progress. So in a sense, you have one save file for you and then a save file for your friend, which is nice. Although do keep in mind, guest game won't properly save your progress, but you can play from start to finish in that mode. But we're going to go ahead and play on new game here. And we're going to go ahead and just skip this cutscene because we've already seen the story. And as you can see, we have 3 difficulty options here. You can unlock expert mode in this game the same way you can in Star Fox 64, where you're getting all the medals. But as you can see, there is a third option. We have expert mode, which is the hard mode of the game that you can unlock after you get all the medals in the normal difficulty, which is N64 mode, which, as they say, recreates the original challenge of Star Fox 64. But if you want an easier way to play the game, you play in the 3DS mode, which is balanced to go ahead and use the new gyro controls of the 3DS version. So that's the difficulty we're going to go ahead and take a look at, and we are going to turn on the gyro controls. So we're going to go ahead and try to play through the first level of the game with motion controls. It's definitely going to be a doozy, but let's go ahead and jump into a new mission here and go straight to Corneria.
It's about time you showed up, Fox. You're the only hope for our world.
I'll do my best. Andros won't have his way with me.
Good luck.
Open the wings. Check your G diffuser system. Falco here. I'm fine.
This is Pep. All systems go.
Slippy here. I'm okay.
I see him up ahead. Let's rock and roll.
So, as you just heard there in the cutscene, the voice acting was a little different compared to the N64 version of this game. Well, that's because they re-recorded all the lines here for Star Fox 64 3D. Some characters do reprise their role from the original, like Fox and Slippy for example, but there are some new faces here in Star Fox 64 3D. So, the voice acting, a lot of people are kind of mixed on about the 3DS version. And that's just mainly because it's very different from what they remember from the original, and they don't really like it. I'm kind of mixed about the voice acting here in Star Fox 64 3D, but that's just mainly because of its performance, not because of the new faces here for the roles. This is the first time these people are actually voicing all these characters from the Star Fox series. So they're learning how to still voice these characters at this point. They're very new to everything, so it's gonna take them a while to learn, and by the time these characters would be voiced over by the same group of voice actors in Star Fox Zero, I definitely feel like by that point, then the voice actors definitely got a hang of how to do the voice acting work for the Star Fox team. It can take a little bit for some voice actors to get accustomed to their new role. This is actually very well known for the Sonic series, when the 4Kids voice acting group took over voicing the Sonic characters, the same issue happened there, where it took them a very long time to start getting a feel for their characters and actually getting really good at their voice acting work. Honestly, a lot of people thought it took until Sonic Unleashed for Sonic to get really good by Jason Griffith, and by that time, he was gonna stop voicing the character about a year later. So that's the kind of the same thing I feel like with Star Fox 64 3D. I kind of feel like the same thing happened here, where it took them a couple games to get used to the characters. But as you can tell here, I'm having kind of a hard time really controlling the R-Wing right now because this is very awkward to control using gyro. You have to move your entire 3DS in order to actually use gyro controls properly. You're not just moving your cursor, you're also moving your R-Wing with the gyro controls. And this is why I'm very mixed on this kind of control scheme. If you were using a proper controller with this, it may not be as bad, but honestly, I think the controls they picked for Star Fox Zero did a much better job with gyro than the 3DS version here. People thought that the gyro control in Zero was not great, but you didn't control your R-Wing like you do here in the 3DS version. This is very awkward. So it makes things very hard to actually see coming up in the 3DS version. I don't recommend you play with the gyro controls. It's much better just to use stick controls here in Star Fox 64 3D. They're just way more responsive. And you still need to use the stick to do things like your somersaults. You can't do a U-turn, for example, using your gyro. You have to pull back on the stick, and then you can go ahead and turn around. It's really weird. So again, I don't recommend playing the game like this. It's just a weird novelty, but not really one I'm a fan of. So that's why for this course, I decided just to take on the easy pass boss, because no way I'm going to be fighting the hard pass boss using gyro controls. It's just too awkward, in my opinion, to fight that guy with motion controls. But luckily, this guy just needs a few more shots, and then he'll be dead.
My Emperor! I've failed you!
We're heading out. All aircraft report.
You did it! I was worried for a moment.
You're becoming more like your father.
I'm fine. You okay over there, Fox?
Again, these voice actors aren't bad, but this is the first time a lot of them were voicing these characters in their Star Fox series. So characters like Falco, he doesn't really have that same kind of snarky attitude that he had in the N64 game, hence why a lot of people are mixed on him. He gets much better in later games, but there we go. We beat Corneria using some gyro control. I'm going to give myself a pat on the back for that because I actually did pretty good there with using motion controls. Still getting a total of 141 hits is pretty impressive. So now we can do the same thing we did in the N64 version. We can go back to our previous mission, or if we're on the hard path, we can go ahead and select the other pathway to play on instead. I'm actually going to just head back to the main menu because now that will save our progress. So if I go back in the main game, as you can see, I have a save slot here that already has Corneria cleared. So I can continue on now in the asteroid belt the next time I play my game. So that's a very helpful thing. Since this game is on a portable system, having a proper save system for Star Fox 64 makes this very easy to pick up and play. You can play this game for about 5 to 10 minutes, put it down, and continue your progress, compared to the original where you had to beat it all in one sitting. So that's a much welcome change in my opinion. But now let's go ahead and take a look at the score attack mode here. This is a mode exclusive to the 3DS version of Star Fox 64. I'm going to just play this one on the N64 difficulty, which is going to be middle of the road here. And we have a choice of all these different courses, so let's not play Corneria again. Let's play something different. So let's just go ahead and play through, let's see. You know what? Why not? Let's go big. Let's do Area 6. As you can see, we have medal requirements going into this, and there are 3 different scores that we can go ahead and get. We can get a bronze, a silver, or a gold score at the end of this. And as you see, those requirements are pretty high, so we're probably not going to get the gold. I'm going to try my very best. but 400 hits is a lot. That's higher than the metal requirement here in Area 6, so yeah, it's not going to be easy. So we're just going to do our best here, and I'm going to just target everything I can, shoot things down, and I don't have upgrades going to this mode. That's another thing that's going to make this harder. So I'm coming in here with single lasers and also only having 3 bombs in my arsenal here. It's really not ideal, if you want to be honest, so that's another thing that makes score attack kind of hard if you're going for those medals. You don't really have a fully decked out R-Wing coming here like you can in a normal playthrough. So that is what makes this really difficult, but it's a fun mode just to kind of blaze through here and see what kind of scores you can go ahead and get. So it's a fun mode to play once in a while, and since you can choose any level you want, you're not just restricted to just playing on the standard paths here, which is definitely helpful, but it's definitely much harder than the original. So we're going to do our very best here, try to do as much as we can here. I'm going to go ahead and use the same tricks I used in the N64 version, where you hold down both of your wing buttons, so in this case it's L and R on the 3DS. If I hold both of those down, I can go ahead and use my charge shot without locking onto enemies, making it much easier to get a group of points all at once. And we want to shoot down these missiles before they shoot us. Getting past that section, we've got more things to go ahead and shoot, so we're going to help Peppy to get some points from him.
What's taking you so long, Fox?
Man, Andros, this sounds so weird on this version. Again, these are new voice actors. They get a hang of the roles later, but man, Andros just sounded so odd in this version compared to the 64 original. I don't like it. He doesn't sound as menacing in my opinion, which is sad because that's one of the best things about the N64 game. Andros is super menacing as a character, but here, not so much. He just kind of sounds more groggy. But again, he gets much better starting Star Fox Zero, so you definitely notice an improvement there. But as you've seen, when we got to the checkpoint, there wasn't an actual checkpoint. Instead, it was just a bigger silver ring to fly through, so we get more health back. But there are no checkpoints here in this, so you have to be very careful. If you die, you have to start all the way back at the very beginning, which is very punishing. So you gotta do your best here not to die. But we're doing okay. We're not going to get the gold at this rate, but we're definitely going to get the silver if I keep on shooting things like this. We're getting closer and closer to the silver requirement. And I got to keep on touching the screen, which definitely takes you out of the action. I feel like it was much easier in the original just to press the C buttons to go ahead and actually answer your phone calls here. Because tapping on the screen definitely takes you out of it for a second. You got to release either the circle pad or one of the face buttons to do this. It may not be too bad if you're quick on your fingers, but if you're like me, just take a little bit of time. It definitely doesn't help. Especially because of this setup. I'm recording this using a 3DS emulator, hence why there could be any kind of graphical glitches or hiccups you may see in the footage. So in order for me to tap on the touchscreen, I actually have to take my hand off the controller entirely and use the mouse to click on the touchscreen. It's a little awkward, and definitely kind of makes things harder for me playing this, but that's more on my own fault at that point because I'm not recording on the actual system. I wish 3DS capture cards were more readily available so I would actually be able to record this on actual hardware, but I gotta make do with what I got, and luckily this game runs pretty nicely on a 3DS emulator. Since this game is one of the earliest 3DS releases, it had a lot more time for the 3DS emulation scene to start fixing a lot of the bugs and just making sure the game works. 3DS emulation is still kind of rough around the edges, so a lot of games have a lot of issues, but since Star Fox 64 is one of the earliest titles on the system, it's for the most part playable. I don't really have any major issues besides a skip here and there, and then the weird graphical bugs every once in a while, but that's pretty much it. The rest of this game plays almost as smoothly as it does on actual hardware, which is really nice to see at this point. Emulation has definitely come a long ways. I remember trying to play this game years ago on emulator and I couldn't get the boot. now I can get the game to play through score attack perfectly fine like this. But I'm getting off topic here. We got a boss here to take down, the Area 6 boss, and at this point, we just need to go ahead and destroy one more of his arms to put him into Phase 3, but trying to aim for that arm all the way back here is a little more difficult. So it just takes a little bit longer for me to shoot. Now he's ready to go ahead and shoot me with his laser. So I'm just going to go ahead and hang down here on the bottom, away from the fully charge. And once Falco starts to speak, that's my cue to start dodging. So I'm going to just go ahead and roll around the screen here, do some barrel rolls. And now we should be able to start attacking it once again. Once he opens up his lid, shoot down the energy balls. If I can actually aim. I swear, this is much harder here in 3DS than it was on the original. I don't know why. Maybe it's because of the bigger screen, making it a little bit harder for me to actually hit him, because there's more screen for him to go off of now. I don't know, but I definitely feel this fight got a little bit more difficult in 3DS, just because of the nature of it being in widescreen. It's kind of a weird thing to say, I know, but you get what I mean here. But there we go. We defeated the Area 6 boss, so we cleared the stage. And at this point, they're going to want to go off the Venom, but we don't have time for that. We're going to go ahead and get a new record, which is pretty cool. So there you go. We got ourselves a new record here in Area 6. So we entered our name in, and now it's recorded here on the game. We can go ahead and try again to beat that score, try to get a higher score requirement, or we can go ahead and play other courses at this point to also get high scores on them as well. But that's pretty much score attack in a nutshell. It's a fun little way to go ahead and play through all these courses really fast. In a way, this is basically your level select of Star Fox 64 3D. So this is a very cool way just to replay courses that you just want to play now. I don't want to do a whole playthrough just to get to something like, say, Solar. I could just go ahead, load up score attack, and start playing this course right away. So that's very cool. But there you go, that was score attack for you. And that's pretty much everything I want to go ahead and take a look at here in the 3DS version. There is one more thing to take a look at here, the battle mode. But we're actually going to be saving this for the next bonus episode. So with that said, join me for another bonus episode of Star Fox 64, where we take a look at the multiplayer here of Star Fox 64. I'll see you guys next time.